My name is Andy Ritan. I am the owner and broker of Ritan Property Group in Atlanta, Georgia. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the kinds of fees property managers charge in the metropolitan Atlanta property management market. So when you hire a property manager, these are examples of the kind of fees you should expect to pay, that you should look for in the management agreements that you collect from a property manager before you decide to do business with him or her. First off, there's generally a tenant procurement fee or a leasing fee. That means that in exchange as compensation for marketing the property and so forth, when the tenant takes possession of the property and moves in, when the property gets leased up, compensation is payable to the property manager. This might be, for example, in the amount of 1 month's rent. It could be a prorated amount of 1 month's rent, for example 75%. There could be a flat fee depending on the price point of the property. Managers have all kinds of different structures for that, but you should look for some form of a tenant procurement or a leasing fee that the property manager charges. In addition to that, the owner is going to charge ongoing monthly fees to manage the property. These are usually structured one of two ways. They're either a flat fee, so that no matter what the rent is, there's a flat fee that's owed every month, or a percentage of the rent, which could be 8, 10, 7, 9. There's a range that you'll find when you see what managers charge, but there's going to be some kind of monthly fee that the manager charges to manage the property in most cases. If the tenant signs a lease to stay in the property another 12 months, there's generally a fee for that, a renewal fee. Part of the thought process is that if the tenant decides to stay for another year, it's at least in part because the manager took good care of him, so that's why the manager is due the fee. Whatever the rationale is, there usually is one. It might be some percentage of the rent, it might be half a month's rent. There are a number of ways people calculate that, but you just need to look and see what the property manager charges for a renewal fee. There are a number of miscellaneous fees that come in that sometimes are wind up getting paid out to the owner or not, that are collected from tenants. For example, if the tenant pays the rent late, a late fee is due. Who keeps the late fee? Usually the manager, sometimes the owner, sometimes there's a split, some kind of division. You need to find what's going on in your manager's contract. The same is true of NSF fees, dispossessory fees. There's a lot of work for a property manager to have to prosecute a dispossessory warrant on behalf of a tenant that hasn't paid the rent. So in some cases, an additional fee for that is going to come to the property manager. That's usually how those are structured. There can be costs for special site visits to the property. If there's a tree fall, some kind of emergency, you need to meet the police out there, you need to meet an insurance adjuster at the property. It's not free for anyone to drive across town and wait for an insurance adjuster to show up, and there's usually some kind of a fee charged for that, or some kind of structure for that. Some property managers charge account setup fees and account termination fees. This is highly variable, but you should look to see if any of those kinds of fees are due or payable. The last thing I'll mention is that in most areas of life, you get what you pay for. You are definitely going to be able to find property managers who choose to occupy the position of low-cost leader in the market. If that's the only thing the manager brings to the market, which is the low price, the ability to have bulletproof documents and bulletproof procedures and excellent communication with tenants and owners and 24 repair capability and all these important things may be compromised because of the low income that the manager gets off of his or her business, which doesn't allow them to fund the services that owners really need. But that's a decision that you'll need to make. This is Andy Ritan with the Ritan Property Group. If you have any questions, please give me a call.